Soon they came to a place where the ground became rough, and there were rocks all about, and little hills up and little hills down. The path began to wind, and Mr. Thomas turned suddenly aside, as if they were going to walk straight into an unusually large rock. Abruptly, an entrance of a cave appeared before them. As soon as they were inside, she found herself blinking in the light of a wood fire. Then Mr. Thomas stooped and took a flaming piece of wood out of the fire with a neat little pair of tongs and lit a lamp. "Now, it shan't take long," he said, and immediately put a kettle on. Lucy thought she had never been in a better place. It was a little, dry, clean cave of reddish stone with a carpet on the floor and 2 little chairs, one for me and one, possibly, for a friend, said Mr. Thomas, and a table and a dresser and a mantelpiece over the fire, and above all that a picture of an old faun with a beard. "Meanwhile, we can have a little chat and address any gaps in the knowledge of our lands," said the faun. On one wall there was a shelf full of mysteriously looking books, old and crumbling and bigger than usual ones. Strange titles of strange-looking books. Lucy kept looking at them while he was setting the tea accessories. Titles like The Life and Letters of Horus, or Dragons and Just Dinosaurs, A Study in Popular Myth, or Is Man Just a Legend? "Do help yourself, O daughter of Eve," said the faun, turning to her. There were baked vegetables, brownish and crusty, buttered toast, then sardines on toast, then the toast with honey, and then a sugar-top cake. And when Lucy was bored of eating, he began to talk. He had wonderful tales to tell of life in the forest. He told about the midnight dances and how the nymphs who lived in the wells and dryads who lived in the trees came out to dance with the fauns. About long hunting parties after the milk-white unicorn who could give you wishes if you caught him. About feasting and treasure-seeking with the wild red wolves in deep mines and caverns far beneath the forest floor. And then about summer, when the woods were green and old Silenus on his fat donkey would come to visit them, and sometimes Bacchus himself, and then the streams would drown with the wine instead of water, and the whole forest would give itself up to jollification for weeks on end. He also tried to tell her about the fired wolves who were less wild and how they helped people to learn about their complex technologies and build multi-story buildings and make elegant and exquisite things, but soon he gave up. It is a very long winter now, not that it always was. Then, to cheer himself up, he took out a strange little flute that split in two towards the end. And the tune he played made Lucy want to cry and laugh and dance at the same time. Strangely enough, it also made her go to sleep. It must have been only hours later when she shook herself and said, "Oh, Mr. Thomas, I'm so sorry to stop you. And I do love that tune, but I only meant to stay for a few minutes. But really, I must go home," said Lucy. "It's too late now, you know," said the faun, laying down its flute and shaking its head at her very sorrowfully. "Too late?" said Lucy, jumping up and feeling rather frightened. "What do you mean? I've got to go home at once. The others will be wondering what has happened to me." But a moment later she asked, "Mr. Thomas, what's the matter?" For the faun's brown eyes had filled with tears, and then the tears began trickling down its face, and soon they were running. And finally he covered its head with its hands and began to howl. Mr. Thomas, said Lucy in a great distress. Don't do it. What's the matter? Aren't you well? Dear Mr. Thomas, do tell me what's wrong." But the faun continued sobbing as if its heart was about to break. And even when Lucy went over and put her arms around him and gave him her handkerchief, he didn't stop. He merely took the handker and kept on using it, wringing it out with both hands whenever it got too wet to be any more use, so that presently Lucy was standing in a damp patch. Mr. Thomas called Lucy in his ear, shaking him, "Do stop immediately! You ought to be ashamed of yourself, a great big fawn like you! What on earth are you crying about?" Oh, whined Mr. Thomas, "I'm crying because I'm such a bad fawn." "I don't think you're a bad fawn at all," said Lucy. "I think you're a very good fawn. You're the nicest fawn I've ever met." "Oh, you wouldn't say that if you knew," replied Mr. Thomas between his sobs. "No, I'm a very bad fawn. I don't suppose there ever was a worse fawn since the beginning of the world." "But what have you done?" asked Lucy. "My old father, my poor father," said Mr. Thomas. "That's his picture over the mantelpiece. He would never have done a thing like this." "A thing like what?" said Lucy. "Like what I've done," said the fawn, "taking service under the White Witch. That's what I am. I'm in the pay of her." "The White Witch? Who's she?" "Why, it is she that has got all Narnia under her permanent winter. It's she that makes it always like this. Always winter and never Christmas. Think of that." "How awful," said Lucy. "What does she pay you for?" "The pay is the worst of it," said the fawn. "I'm a kidnapper for her, that's what I am. Would you believe that I'm the sort of fawn to meet a poor innocent child in the wood, one that had never done me any harm, and pretend to be friendly with it, and invite it home to my place, all for the sake of lulling it asleep and then to hand it over to the White Witch?" "No," said Lucy, "I'm sure you wouldn't do anything of the sort." "But I have," said the fawn. "Well," said Lucy rather slowly, for she wanted to be truthful and yet not to be too hard on him. "Well, that's pretty bad, but you're sorry for it, right? And I'm sure you'll never do it again." "Daughter of Eve, you don't understand. It isn't something I have done. It is something I'm doing this very moment." "What do you mean?" cried Lucy, turning very white. "You are the child," said Thomas. "I have direct orders from the White Witch that if I ever saw a son of Adam or a daughter of Eve in this wood, I was to hand them over to her. And this has finally happened to me. I have pretended to be your friend only to make you fall asleep, and then I would go and report it to her." "Oh, but you won't, Mr. Thomas. You won't, will you? You really mustn't." "But if I don't, she's sure to be told. She'll have my horns sewn out. She'll have my beard plucked out. Rumors are she's very creative in that sort of stuff.